Hey everybody, Kieran Harris here, Feel Good Golf Academy. Are you slicing the ball too much? Or maybe you're hooking it too much? If you're doing either of those things, this video is for you. And we've got a simple idea for each of you to start to straighten out that ball flight and probably even hit it more solid, okay? What I want you to know right off the bat is slicers can definitely learn from hookers, and hookers can definitely learn from slicers. There's good things that both of you are doing. We just need to do them within the right threshold, just a modest amount of them. So what do we mean by that? Well, here's the thing that slicers do that I think is really good, right? One of the elements that causes players to slice, and we know primarily a slice comes from a club face that is too open, aimed too far right of the club path, of the path of your swing. Okay, so primarily it's a club face issue for slicers. Their faces, they don't control the face well. The face is always open when they come into impact. One of the things that can cause an open face is when the shaft is leaned forward too excessively. When somebody gets their hands way forward into impact, and that can tend to bring the heel into impact first, and the toe is there late, right? So that's a very popular thing we see with slicers. And like leaning the shaft forward though, as I said, this is one of those good things that slicers do. Keep doing this. We want you to do this. We want you to do this with a good club face, with a more square club face, right? Because what does shaft lean do? Well, shaft lean is like kind of holding on to that good angle, that wrist angle in the downswing, right? It's lag, things like that, right? But also it creates really nice loft at impact, right? That's where I can take this is a 5 iron, but all of a sudden if I lean the shaft, I can turn this more into a 4 or a 3 iron, right? Which means lower loft at impact, ball's coming out faster ball speed with the same club, right? Nobody comes to me to say, I want to hit it shorter, right? Everybody wants to hit it longer. So that's one of the lowest hanging fruit scenarios we can help players with when it comes to distance is like, hey, well, like, what does the club face? What does the loft look like? Or they call it dynamic loft at impact, right? Do we have a shaft that's standing too straight up or God forbid, lean back? Hopefully it's leaning forward a little bit. And if we can get it to lean forward even more, we can really improve the loft conditions. That often creates a better low point via a better angle of attack. So often better contact. So ball goes farther. Right now, but we're saying this is a good thing that slicers do, but it's bad because too much of that shaft lean sometimes, leaves the face kind of hanging open, and those are the shots that glance off to the right and spin further that way. So those players need a stronger club face coming into impact, right? Now, we said the slicers can learn from the hookers, right? And I would say that this shaft lean look, or while we said it's good, one thing I often see is that dragging of the handle, right, dragging the club through, it extends really through impact for a lot of these slicers. So after we see that club face is still sort of pointing up, it's never really flipped over where they've released the club face and got the face more square, right? So you slicers, you need to look at a hooker and go, well, how are they hooking the ball? One thing that a lot of hookers do is they really release the club face, right? They would, I would say, in a lot of cases, throw the club head through impact. The shaft stops leaning, the club head passes their hands, and as the club head passes their hands, they're also twisting the face shut. They have a faster rate of closure of their club face, or what the golf geeks call gamma rotation now. How fast is the rate of club face closure in the downswing? So some of you slicers, and if you've ever been out here on the range with me doing a lesson on the slice, you know that one of the positions I love to have players see is like, what could the club look like post-impact if you really closed the face, right? Where they sort of point the shaft at the target with the face pointed down to the ground, right? And we just get them to sort of start in that position and go, okay, could we intentionally swing the club into that position every time? And if you tell your brain, hey, this is where I want to get to, it's amazing how your hands and your body can organize that club face earlier in the swing to get there. They start to engage some of those release valves, right? Some of that great leverage that the hookers have to get that face closed. And all of a sudden, those slicers might actually see a ball go left. They might actually hook it. Now, I would never actually coach someone to say, hey, this is how I want you to play golf, right? Go out there and just throw the club face through, right? Whip it through and hope that you can sort of guide it online. That's hard, right? So that's a hook feeling that these hookers have that slice players could use a dose of, right? And if they sort of combine that in a recipe with their shaft lean and some more active face rotation, well, they might start to hit some really hard straight shots, maybe even draw it a little bit. The hookers, on the other hand, they are sometimes prone to more of a throwing motion through impact. They really throw the club head, whip it past their hands with a high degree of rotation of the club face. The face is closing at a fast degree, which makes the face much less predictable than a face that's coming through at a rather, a little more stable fashion, which makes direction less predictable. And hookers, when they do this, they can suffer from snap hooks. Often when they're releasing it early too, releasing it past their hands, they struggle with the club getting into the ground a little bit early as that shaft reaches its full length, right? The radius of the swing gets too long too early and it gets into the ground. So the hooker doesn't need the throw. The hooker needs more of the drag. They need to learn from the slicers, right? They need to get the hands ahead a little bit more and also get that heel ahead a little bit more. Get that heel to win the race to the ball, because that will start to keep the face more open. Their ball will get more airborne. They might even see one go a little bit high and right for a right-handed player. That would be cool if you're a career hooker, if you can do that. We're talking about golf hookers here, of course. So the hookers need more of that handle drag, right? They need to get the face, the hands ahead to lean the shaft. The face is more stable, and they almost need to maintain that drag through impact. So again, if you've ever seen me do a lesson out here on the range or on video, one of my favorite feels for a hooker, right? The slicers, we said we want them to feel, what does it feel like to throw the club head and twist the club head shut after impact, right? Well, it's just the opposite for those players who hook the ball, is we actually get them into this position. And this is just sort of like a continuation of the handle drag, right? Their hands have gone left of their body. The club face is still sort of square. It hasn't flipped over, right? It's still sort of pointing up, and the shaft is pointing to the right. The shaft hasn't flipped over like that with their forearms and hands. So we get them to just stand in this position, and then we make little backswings and go, okay, can I get back to this position every single time? And then we start to hit some half shots, and if we see the ball's going straight or maybe like little tiny punchy buzz cuts, that's really cool. That starts to happen. So that can be a great look and a great feel for those of you who are hooking the ball. If you can get into this finish position, you're gonna stabilize the club face, you're gonna reduce the loft, you're gonna hit things more solid and a little more straight. And going back, summarizing, if you are a slicer, right, this is what you're already doing to some extent, or a lot of you, right? So we wanna actually see that shaft start to pass the hands, or that feeling of throwing the club head and also twisting the club head shut. Right? It's a little bit creative, it's a little bit loosey-goosey as you start to learn it, but go do it with a driver off a tee, and you might actually see your first balls ever start to go right to left in the air and start to hook. So there you go. There's things we can learn from each other all the time in life. If we're different from each other, there's always something you can learn from someone else, and even in golf. Anyways, go give it a try. See if those things straighten out your ball flight, improve your contact a little bit, and let me know how it goes. Have a great time.